It is spooky season, so you know what that means. It's time to make creepy art for the Create This book. The first medium of choice is gouache. So of course we need water. And colour pencils. But what is the first spooky art prompt? Well, of course, it's create fear. Draw the most terrifying monster you can come up with. I have something in mind. You see this gorgeous art wall? One that stands out that I absolutely love is this stunning piece by Ashley Monet. How beautiful is this? And I've actually made something sort of similar years ago. This little dinosaur skull here. This is actually gouache. So what is the sketch? We are taking inspiration from Ashley's stunning piece and creating a dinosaur skull in a similar way, using gouache like this, lots of pastel, with a dark frame around the outside because I love the way that the one on the wall just pops. But the one in the sketchbook, I love the way that the pastel colors blend really easily with gouache and it looks subtle. It's matte, it looks kind of fuzzy. That's what we're trying to replicate. You're gonna have to trust the process with this one because to create this, what I actually did was cover the entire piece with bright colors and then add white on top, lightly blending it. And you can see it gradually get lighter, but all of those bright colors are underneath. Funnily enough, we are actually on IKEA drawing paper, that big roll that they sell. It's not watercolor, so I'm just hoping that this is gonna work. Gouache is really easy to re-wet and blend, so it doesn't really matter if the paper needs to stay wet for a long while. Not like with watercolor. Honestly, I do ration the watercolor paper a little bit too much. I know that. We're now on the lighter colors to actually create the dinosaur, and I probably should be using the watercolor paper more, but it is quite thick in the book and it's a little bit pricey. This roll has lasted ages. Honestly, if you end up in IKEA, like, pick up this roll. It's lasted so long and it doesn't even look like it's gone down. So we're drawing a triceratops. This is my favorite dinosaur. I feel like out of all of the dinosaurs, this is just one of the cutest ones. Also, notable mentions, the Stegosaurus and the Brachiosaurus. But I feel like this type of dinosaur has a lot more to actually draw with the horns and the shape. They've just got more to them. Ashley actually made this piece of art and another one similar, the different type of dinosaur. But this is the one that stood out because I just feel like these ones are so cute. So of course we're leaning into that. The dinosaur is pink. Well, dinosaur skeleton. And same thing with the frame. We've added loads of different bright colors and then gently popped black over the top. I've done this before for watercolor a few times, and we also did it in a recent Create This Book episode, free sketchbook ideas to help your mental health. That was actually opaque watercolor. That was Kuretake Genzo Tambi. It makes the darker colors look really rich because there's so many other colors underneath. So it's a technique that I've been loving. But I think we need some color pencils. Maybe a light pink and purple as well. We need to make some line work. Using gouache with color pencils is a relatively new thing for me. We did it when we painted a creepy clown together for the Create This book. That was directly in the book. This time we're using a sheet of paper and I think it's a lot easier doing it this way. Though I am a little bit concerned when we slice it in half. I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if we're gonna lose some of the dinosaur. The frame is actually in the shape of the dinosaur skeleton. I don't know if that comes across. I was thinking if we give it some sharp edges and some other round parts, it might look a little bit like a skeleton. But now we're adding random shapes to the outside. I just feel like the black edge doesn't really blend in with the actual piece. And I'm not gonna lie, the color pencil has completely changed the dynamic of this piece. It looks a little bit cartoon-like. So we're continuing. Grab a blue and add some circles to the inner background. When it comes to art, it's best to just go with the flow and add whatever you're feeling in that moment. The frame has some horns, some random pointy shapes. They're all reminiscent of what's actually in the skeleton. And finally, I think we're ready to scan. This is something I do every single time now, because you never know, this piece might end up on the shop next Halloween as a spooky print or sticker. I love having a scanner now because it means we're able to take that scan before slicing it in half and sticking it in a book. It's a lot easier in the long run. Well, that slice isn't too bad. But wait, we have a prompt? Oh no. If we cut it out, we're gonna cut into the frame and it's not all gonna be in like this. Oh, what do we do? Okay, let's just cut the edges. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of terrified that we're also gonna cut into the frame right now because it's really close to the edge. There's a lot of excess. But when it comes to the art prompt, I think we need to just write it down, sticking the random pieces in the daily doodle diary and popping it on either side. The second medium of choice is acrylic markers. And what is the sketch, you might ask? Well, it's a spooky vampire portrait, and the style? It's something we've already done before on this channel a few times. In the bullet journal last year, we made Medusa and Michelangelo's David. I am absolutely in love with this style, to the point that there are prints up on my shop and stickers too. But what is the prompt in question? Create an alter ego. Write your alter ego names and decorate the words to show off their personalities. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that part. We're drawing a vampire. Some of the create this book prompts are very difficult, and this is one that I put off. I could not come up with any ideas for it. And then I realized I'm thinking too hard about this. It says create an alter ego, and in the second sentence it talks about it being your own. But if we just take it at a very basic level, it's like an alternate self, a personality that's completely different to something else. So since it's Halloween, of course I thought of vampires and a lot of those creatures really. I think there are so many that it could work for. Like a zombie, that is technically different to what they were. I got really stumped on this prompt because I was just thinking too hard on it. But simply put, it is something that is different to something else. I like drawing portraits. So we have a vampire girl, and how is this one different? We're starting off in a very similar way with the block random colors. We have red eyes, the scary teeth. Now the hair is the one that really stands out, but we need to get the face perfect before moving on to the hair. I need to see and believe that we might pull this off before we try something completely new. Of course, they have bright red eyes. The colors are all over the place with this. Really, I'm just picking any colors that we haven't used before in this style. We had pink and green previously in the journal, so this one is all about red and purple. But what makes the hair different? Well, it's almost like triangles. The face has round blobs, and to make the hair scary, I'm thinking, why don't we make it like really sharp edges, triangles or zigzags? Of course, we're going to need to add multiple colors to each strand, so this is looking a little bit chaotic because to pull this off, we need a highlighter, mid-tone, a shadow, using a lot of grays, purples, blues for this. Then the blue is going to pop against the red. That is the goal, because when it comes to spooky things, more often than not, they are sharp edges, bright colors, rather than being smooth and round and cute. I've never created like this before, but that's also why I love making themed videos for Halloween and Christmas, because we really get to have fun and experiment and change things up. Like the movie scene we painted a horror film. Every episode of the Scenes series is a different movie, and this time we made something actually really scary. Halloween is always fun, but is this actually gonna work? I don't know if we're gonna pull this off. It's looking a little bit odd. The eyes are definitely spooky though. Already, we haven't even got teeth. I think we need to continue with the hair. It's hard to look at this piece until every single section is filled in. You need that base color to be able to picture where it's actually gonna go. And we're also lacking contrast. So a dark gray is in the mix now. And we're also using that for the mouth, which of course needs to look really creepy with the sharp teeth. And now that we can actually picture the piece, we can go in with more of those details. Make the eyes a little bit less big because right now they are huge. And they also don't have any eyebrows. So of course we need to add those in. I'm thinking the smaller the better will go with this whole look. But now that the base colors are in, what are we going to do with this hair? I'm thinking we use different shades that are already down to add some line work and define the strands. Because yes, believe it or not, all of these random blobs are actually part of individual hair strands. And I'm not gonna lie, I have lost them too. It's really difficult to see where each strand begins and ends because now we've lost the original sketch. These are acrylic markers, they're opaque. I don't know, we're just making this up. And I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters, sketchbook buddies. You help me keep making these videos, so thank you. And why don't we add a little bit more detail? Since it's super difficult to see each hair strand, maybe we could add some lines to show the direction that each strand is going in. A little bit like, well, hair, like you see hair move in the direction that it's going in. But I'm not so sure that this is working. I don't know if that was a bad decision because the lines are completely different shapes to the rest of the piece, which is all about blobs. We could dry it, but it might crack. Okay, well I have a package to ship from the shop, so why don't we take a break and go drop that off. A bit of fresh air, a little break, and I have an idea. You see how this black line here has a lot more contrast? Why don't we add black lines to the entire piece? This is a crazy big idea that might destroy the whole thing. I think we need to add black lines all over. Again, let's pop this spooky piece in the scanner. Might be on the shop next year. Could be sooner. I don't know, let me know. Would you like any of these pieces? It would be a spooky sticker, that's for sure. Oh, phew, we didn't lose too much of the face then. All we need to do is stick these down and, well, actually we do need to cut out a hole for the art prompt. Maybe we could cut it in zigzags as well. Would that look cool? Let's stick it in and find out. And then cut off the edges. And I've got to tell you, I don't know what happened. I'm looking at this footage and I don't know where it all went wrong, but somehow I sliced the art. I don't know what happened. We need tape to try and piece it together. I don't know what went wrong. Cannot figure it out. And just like that, we've created two very different pieces for Halloween. First up is this spooky Triceratops skeleton for Create Fear. It's gouache and color pencils. Very smooth, it kind of looks buttery. Before moving on to the spooky vampire in a style we've done quite a few times before now. Something I absolutely love to do with acrylic markers. Which one is your favorite? Let me know down below and comment a pink emoji if you've made it this far. Have a lovely Halloween, make some art, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye bye.